Hello, my name is Ellie and I'm part of the inquiries and onboarding team at Quirky Campers. I'm going to take you through a short video today about what to expect from your first Quirky customer. So what happens when you receive a booking and the steps you would take to prepare for that customer coming to collect your campervan. So the first thing that happens is you're going to receive an email like this from Wheelbase to let you know that a customer has completed their reservation. So a little bit further down that email, there'll be a link for you to go onto Wheelbase and see the details of that booking. So the dates the customer has booked, any add-ons they've included, and we'll also give you the opportunity to message that customer directly. So if your camper van isn't on Instant Book, and is on request to book instead, that email is going to look a little bit different. It will just say that the customer has requested to book your camper van and that you'll need to either accept or decline the booking. So same thing again, there's a link a little bit further down that email to click. You can either accept or decline the request. If you accept it, that request will go back to the customer to let them know that you've approved their request and will invite them to basically confirm the booking and pay for it. And that will then come through as a confirmed booking for you. So you can see there, obviously it's a one-step process if you're on Instant Book and a three-step one if you're on request to book. So the next thing we would encourage you to do is to message the customer on Wheelbase. So you'll see there on the right-hand side, the messaging system in the activities tab, and just introduce yourself and maybe ask a bit about their trip and obviously just to thank them for making a reservation. So it's a great way just to open that communication and crucially to start asking for the documentation that you need from that customer. And it's also a great way to upsell add-ons. If that customer hasn't included any add-ons on their booking, obviously if you know a little bit about their trip and where they're planning to go, you can recommend certain add-ons that you provide that might be suitable for their trip. So the next thing then is documentation. So what documentation do you need from the customer to make sure that they're covered to drive your camper van? So the first thing is the driver form. So this is basically a driver hire agreement that is sent to the customer to fill in. And once it's completed, you would then print it off and sign on the day of the handover. So once a customer makes a booking, they're then sent a link by Quirky Campers. It's done once a day manually by the team. So they usually get that within 24 hours. And they would basically add their details to the driver form. So any driver that plans to drive your camper van, they would need to fill in those details. So once they filled in those details, that then gets sent as an email to you to print off and obviously to check as well. So they're also asked to send a picture of their license front and back to you for identification process, and also 2 proofs of address. So these proofs of address need to be dated within 90 days. And there's obviously specific proofs of address that are accepted by the insurer. This is on our website, on the FAQs, and also it'll be on your policy document too. And if you have any questions about if a proof of address is valid, just get in touch with us and we'll be able to confirm that with you. So next step then is just to make sure that those documentations are correct and valid. So on the driver form, for example, there'll be a section where the customer would add their driver check code. So if anyone's ever rented a vehicle before, you might have been asked to provide a driver check code with the DVLA. So basically it's a link that the customer would need to go on the DVLA website, pop in their details, and they would get then a short code that will show their driving history. So basically just something to confirm that they don't have any outstanding convictions on their license. So that code will be on the driver form for you to check. Only takes about 20 seconds to check and to make sure that everything is okay and as you want on that. And yeah, same again with the proofs of address. Make sure that they're dated within 90 days and they're the right proofs of address. And obviously license as well, making sure that it's valid and in date, and obviously that customers would need to have their license for more than 2 years. So yeah, absolutely worth checking that out to make sure nice and early. Once you receive that, if there are any issues, obviously speak to us and we'll be able to advise you a bit further. So from there, you would need to print off 2 copies of the driver form to sign on the day of the handover. So next step is insurance. If you have the annual policy with Alan Boswell, you don't need to do any of this. Any customer that meets the insurance criteria is automatically covered on your policy, so you don't need to contact Alan Boswell at all. If you have pay-as-you-go insurance with Alan Boswell, you will need to contact them to arrange cover for the hire. So you will need to send them the completed driver form directly by email to them. And then from there, Alan Boswell will bill you directly for the days that you need cover for. So it's really important to contact Alan Boswell at least 24 hours before the booking begins. We would actually just recommend to do it so it's out of the way as soon as you get the booking. And yeah, if you leave it less than 24 hours, there's no guarantee that that cover is going to be in place in time. And also Alan Boswell do apply a late fee for people who contact them for cover less than 24 hours before booking begins. So 1 week before your customer arrives, we would recommend just going for a drive in your camper van. So especially if your camper van's been sitting in your driveway for a while, just to make sure that there's no issues, take it for a short spin. And, the last thing you want is for a customer to turn up and they head out your driveway and there's some issue that you didn't know about. Also check gas, make sure there's enough gas for the customer for the length of their trip. And also check the add-ons on their booking to make sure that they're easily accessed by you. You don't have to root around and dig anything out, and they're ready to pop into the van on the day of the handover. So 1 day before the hire, obviously we would recommend cleaning the van thoroughly, clean the exterior as well. Always great to have those wonderful first impressions of the camper van. Print the driver forms if you haven't done that already, and check the security deposit. So on Wheelbase, on the booking, you will see that there's a security deposit field on the right-hand side. So this is not something you have to do to make sure it's to charge the customer. It's actually an automatic process on Wheelbase where a customer will be charged 2 days before their booking begins automatically on the card they used to pay for the booking. And then that security deposit is authorised and then released after they return the van and there's no issues. So we would just ask you to just check the security deposit is authorised the day before the customer picks up the van. So you'll know it's authorised if it pops up in green. So it will be in green and say authorised. If it hasn't been authorised, that will be in red. So if it's in red, feel free to contact us and contact the customer just to make sure there's no issue with their method of payment. So the next thing is the handover day. So the day the customer comes to collect your camper van, make sure that you have those 2 printed copies of the driver form. You'll then meet the hirer and check their ID. So check their driver's license, make sure that the drivers that are present will need to have their license there. And obviously any driver that's going to drive your camper van needs to be there to sign the hire agreement. And that hire agreement will have a vehicle condition report as well, which if any of you have hired a vehicle before, it's just your standard form where you would mark off if there's any existing damage on the van before it goes off. You would sign it, the customer signs it, and that's everything. So then you would obviously show the hire how everything works, hand over the keys, and then on Wheelbase, you would just check out the van. So again, a little button on the top of the booking on Wheelbase. Click that to say check out, and you would pop in the outgoing mileage on the van and click checkout, and then the van will appear as on vacation on Wheelbase. So top tip I have there is to make a how-to video for your van. So this is just as simple as making some short videos for different aspects and different features of your camper van. So this could be the hot water system in your camper van, setting up the bed, if you have a child bunk, setting that up. So it just saves you loads of time. Obviously, people are very excited on the day of the handover and they might not take in all the information that you're giving them when you're showing the hire how the van works. So it's great to have those videos for the customer just to refer back to if they've forgotten how to use something. They're not ringing you up at various times during the booking. And it just makes everything easier for the customer and obviously for yourself for any questions that they might have. So then after the customer has finished their holiday, they'll obviously drop back the van. So they'll drop that back obviously from the same location they picked it up. And then this can't be said enough, but make sure you're checking over the van thoroughly. So inside, outside. I really recommend as well taking a video to walk through and obviously making sure that everything is as it should be. Then complete the return section on the driver form. So you'll see that it's basically the same thing, only you're just marking off if there's any new damage, or obviously if there's no damage at all, you would then sign it, the customer signs it, and then they're away. Then as you just go back onto Wheelbase and then check in the van. So at that point, you'll just check in the incoming mileage, and then Wheelbase will automatically calculate if there is any additional mileage to be charged to the customer. I also popped in another top tip to remind the customer about reviews, especially if you're a new owner. It's so important to get a few good reviews under your belt. So if you think that your customers had a particularly good time, just maybe remind them how important it is for you to get your name on the map and get some good reviews in. They'll automatically get sent a review request after their booking ends. But definitely campervan owners who remind their customers of this, they tend to get those reviews in then straight away. So definitely something I'd recommend doing. So that's everything. Hope that wasn't too much information for this video. Obviously, if you have any more questions, do feel free to get in touch with us and we will be happy to answer them. Thanks very much. Bye now.